Hey, good morning, folks. Make sure that's turned off there and that's turned on. Oh, I hope you're having a great morning. You can probably already tell from my voice, but I'm rocking a cold here, which is why I'm on the Red Bull because I'm on cold meds and caffeine to try to soldier on. So, I apologize if the energy is a little bit lower and if my voice sounds a little funky, but it's just sort of the way of it. I have a feeling the energy is going to be fine. Once I get going on this stuff, I really enjoy it. Yeah, welcome aboard. We've got folks joining in. Hey, so let's just go ahead and get started and we'll kind of talk about, we'll get here. Yeah, I'm beautiful. You want to see me. That you don't want to hear me right now, but you sure want to see me. Hey, Anna. So I'm fond of saying that this is not a history class. Because it's not a history class. It just walks like a duck, talks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, and so you figure it's a duck. But it's not. It's really us exploring how certain business practices kind of came about. What was the first iteration of business practices that we follow today? And today's lecture is a supreme example of this because we're going to talk about Vikings. But you know what? We're not really going to talk about Vikings. We're going to talk about the business practices that the Vikings really started that are still going strong today, especially with Amazon. Now, you could be forgiven for looking at Amazon and going, wow, what an innovative, forward-thinking, disruptive technology. Jeff Bezos is some sort of psycho genius for coming up with this business model and turbocharging it. You could be forgiven because it's a really successful company. But the business practices are old-ass business practices that the Vikings started. And that's the case I want to make today. So as we talk about what the Vikings are doing, we're going to constantly tie it back to Amazon. That's the first part of our lecture. Second part of our lecture, second half, we're going to kind of talk about how religion responded to business and so forth. But first part is the Vikings. Okay, so with that in mind, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to give you a couple definitions, but then, like I said, I promise we're going to make it real. So let's talk about a syndicate. A syndicate, if we look at the dictionary definition, there we go right there. When organizations work together to conduct some sort of business in order to pursue and promote their collective interest. Okay? Now, this is from, it's over here, Lon. It's right there. This is from the reading. The early combination being an organization, a gathering, a group of organizations that agreed to cooperate together. That's a combination. The early combinations were relatively small and transient. They took the form of gentlemen's agreements, pools working, arrangements, division of territory, rather than hard and fast syndicates. Okay, so with that, let's talk through this a little bit. First, let's talk about syndicates. Syndicates are actually illegal here in the United States because they go counter to free and open competition. If a whole bunch of we see syndicates, and we don't see syndicates, but we see oligopolies and so on and so forth. But if a whole bunch of companies get together and all agree to, say, price fix or, curtail production and so on and so forth, then that removes free and open competition from the market. So syndicates are illegal here in the U.S. However, syndicates are all over the place. The most famous and impactful in terms of to you in your life is OPEC. OPEC is the oil producing or exporting. Yeah, it's OPEC is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, is a syndicate. This is a group of countries, many, many countries, that all get together and together agree on how much oil they're going to produce and what price they're going to sell it at. Well, that's not free and open competition. And they're like, yeah, that's too bad. We have all the oil. Now, this is not a class about how how we respond to that in terms of our oil production and so forth. But the point is, syndicates are all over the place. All right. But in terms of Amazon, we don't have syndicates, but what we do have is various capitalist operations getting together and collaborating and working together for their mutual benefit. So let me show you what I mean. Come back over here. So get down out of the way. In those early days, a combine would be formed for a season between two or more capitalist undertakers, for the most part, employing their own capital. Amazon Flex drivers. That's exactly what this just described, is an Amazon Flex driver. If any of you, let me go ahead and ask, have any of you ever done have you driven with Uber, or have you taken an Uber, or have you ordered anything through Uber Eats or DoorDash, or have you participated in any aspect of the quote-unquote gig economy? Go ahead and tell me, and we'll get some points going here. The idea here is that, okay, so Tyler, you have, all right, whoever you drove with, right, or if you did the driving or something like this, they are an independent capitalist undertaker, right? Taken Uber at least once. There you go. So you contracted with somebody who was their own boss. They're a contractor using their own car, their own insurance, their own fuel, all that. DoorDash as well. Great, Eliza, right? And yet they cooperate with these other companies and everybody benefits. So that's what's happening with, say, an Amazon Flex driver. During a specific season, in this case, it would be around the Christmas season, they are out there helping to deliver the packages, but they are, capitalist undertakers, for the most part, employing their own capital only, okay? So even though this phrase was talking about the Vikings and organizing and cooperating with people around the world, or at least around Europe, this applies perfectly to what Amazon does. Okay, so we go on. Syndication of an increasingly close texture and increasingly permanent effect appears to have rapidly grown in favor through the 9th and 10th centuries. The reasons for this movement of coalition are plain. The volume of trade, as well as its territorial expansion, increased uninterruptedly. All right? Taylor, by the way, says that a lot of food places use DoorDash for online orders and deliveries versus hiring their own drivers. Exactly. Independent capitalist undertakers. Okay, so coming back here, once again, this is written about the Vikings, but it is exactly what happened with Amazon. Exactly. All right. And increasingly, instead of syndication, let's just say cooperation between businesses. Cooperation of an increasingly close texture, meaning and permanent. So now these businesses are working together very, very closely and not temporarily. This is ongoing. Why? Well, we're growing really, really fast. Some companies have access to certain routes and certain territories, and we got to keep the goods flowing. So you take Amazon, for example. So let me come on down here again. Amazon has, here we go. Here, let me get my pointer. All right. Amazon has their trucks, and you've had things delivered by Amazon through an Amazon truck. But Amazon also delivers with UPS and with FedEx, and they'll deliver with USPS, and you name it, right? And this is standard. They do it all the time. So reading into this, let's take 2 minutes, and I want you to hypothesize. And again, the answer is sort of kind of here. I want you to hypothesize why Amazon would contract with, in many cases, competitors, but it doesn't really matter, why they would contract with other delivery companies. Now, before we do this, Eliza asks, would credit cards also be an example of syndicates to a certain degree because only some companies will accept certain cards? Yes. And in fact, the credit cards and how they work with banks and so forth, yes, this is a great example of a really, really close, I wouldn't say syndicate because a syndicate is illegal, but it's not illegal, but it's a really, really close relationship between companies. Absolutely. I emphatically agree. Yeah, let me get you a light bulb. Okay, so here's the question. Why would Amazon contract with USPS, UPS, and FedEx, and many other delivery companies for that matter, to deliver their packages when they have their own trucks? Okay, so that's the 2-minute question. Let's get some light bulbs going. Okay, fantastic. Let's go through these. These are excellent. So first from Anna, she says, and we're going to go ahead and get Batman here. Yeah. So Anna says Amazon would work with other shipping companies because it's less people that they need to pay and cheaper in the long run, having their own trucks and, it in a sense of familiarity. Yes, totally, right? If the company were to, let's say that we're Amazon and we say, well, okay, how many trucks do we need? Well, the truth of the matter is it's seasonal. It's cyclical, right? There's some times of the year when we need a bazillion trucks, and then there's other times of the year when we need very few. Well, it makes no sense to get all those trucks and hire those people for peak when we're only going to have to come down. So this way we can also hire another service to do it, which ultimately is cheaper because that's their core competency. We'll see if this comes up and we'll go deeper in that. Very good. Eliza says, if we go back to foreign currencies, attention is one of them. If Amazon can use other delivery services more effectively, they get their customers or packages and keeps people attention on Amazon. Oh, I love that. I love that. Also, that's getting 2 light bulbs because it's hearkening back to a previous video lecture. Fantastic. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Tyler says Amazon would have contracts with all these other carriers for flexibility, being able to deliver to certain areas, cost optimization, and capacity and flexibility. All of the above. And so it really makes sense for companies to work together. So this brings us to the idea, oh, by the way, Tyler also goes on to say it's also great way of controlling competition, right? Or competing. Absolutely. Most of the economy, most of the business that you and I engage in is what we would call B2C, meaning business to customer, business to consumer, B2C. However, a ton of business, I'd even say the majority of business, is what we would call B2B, which is businesses providing products and services to other businesses, B2B. And this is what the Vikings really launched and what Amazon is just totally leveraging, okay? All right, let's go on. So, now, the Vikings are doing all this sort of stuff, and they have a quasi-voluntary coalition of forces known as a trust. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on a trust because that's not what I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is quasi-voluntary. Quasi-voluntary. What does it mean for Amazon to set up a system that others participate in that is quasi-voluntary? Feel free to Google quasi, okay? But we're going to make this another 2-minute thing to explore this. Here's what I want you to focus on. Other businesses do not have to do business with Amazon. They don't have to do business with Amazon. It's completely voluntary. So why would it be called quasi-voluntary? So let's play with that for 2 minutes. Okay, let's play with these. So first up, we have Anna, who says it's called quasi-voluntary because businesses are under the assumption that Amazon will adhere to certain rules and vice versa. Yeah, there is an understanding that, okay, we're going to adhere to rules. And so by volunteering, by being part of the organization, or, by collaborating, we're all going to follow these rules and so forth. And so we give up a certain level of our autonomy. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Another way that we can look at it as quasi-voluntary is, let's see. I have a YouTube channel. You're on it right now. This is my YouTube channel. Well, now, what if I were to say, hey, you know what? I want to publish videos online. Because okay, hold on. We're going to come back to my example because I just saw Eliza's example and I like it. So I think it's because they are similar in their businesses, so they're volunteering to give up some of their competition, and it still benefits them. Okay, this is nice.
Hi, I'm Captain America, and I'm here to tell you, stay in school, and that if there's one thing you're going to learn from this class, it's to endure silliness.
I like that. I like that a lot, Eliza. You give up a certain amount of your ability to compete because you're now cooperating. I like that. Okay, let's go back to my YouTube example. I have a YouTube channel. Now, what if I were to say, hey, you know what? I want to publish online lectures, but I don't want to use YouTube. I can totally do that. I can set up a website and I can publish my videos on that website, and no one would ever find me. It goes the same with an online store. I actually had an online store for a while. It was nutshellbrainery.store. No one ever found me. If you want to be found in a video format, you have to be on YouTube. If you want to sell products, you have to be on Amazon or Etsy. If you want to play in this game that a particular company dominates, you pretty much have to join that company. So on one hand, it's voluntary. If I'm selling shirts, there's nothing that forces me to go to Amazon. On the other hand, if I want to sell a boatload of shirts, I really sort of need to be on Amazon, okay, or YouTube, right? You see what I'm saying? So all very good points, all very good points. Excellent job. All right, continuing on. I think I'm going to go on to the next one here. There's another principle that the author here talks about when it comes to the Vikings, and it's the same thing for Amazon. Same thing for any company. So let me first talk through the principles, and then I will explain how they would work for Amazon, so on and so forth, right? So the reading, here, let's make this bigger, talks about a few concepts. It first talks about initial investment, and I just crossed it out. I didn't mean to cross it out. I wonder if I can hit Z. No. Okay. Anyway, initial investment, which means if you are going to start a business, it takes an initial investment of time, money, resources. You don't just snap your fingers and you have a business. It takes an initial investment. Okay, that's the first concept. The next concept the author talks about is sunk cost. The idea of sunk cost is once you make that investment, if your company fails, you're never getting that investment back. You're just not getting it back. All right. If I have nutshell brainery here, I have an initial investment. If my company fails, I don't even know that it's ever succeeded yet. But if my company fails, I might be able to sell some of this stuff for a few pennies, but no. The investment that I've made is sunk. The only way that I can make my money back is by having a successful company. Excuse me. And then the last concept that the author talks about is period of turnover or period of production. The idea here is that it takes time to make the product, and it takes time to gain revenue from that product. All right? So I'm actually working on a video right now that talks about passive income. And the video is going to be called Passive Income, real or myth, right? Well, of course it's real. We all know it's real. But what many people don't consider when it comes to passive income is that passive income is you make money after you put in all the work for no pay and no recognition, and then you put the work out there and it starts to generate revenue. Okay? So, in the case of period of production, period of turnover, if you are going to sell Christmas trees, well, you plant a sapling. It takes at least 6 years for that sapling to become a tree that you could actually harvest and sell. So that's a period of production or period of turnover of 6 years. So overnight success is not really what you're looking for. All right. So, somebody do me a favor, and we'll get our cool little light bulbs for this. Google, when did Amazon start? What was the year that Amazon started? And when did Amazon first make a profit? So do me a favor, jump on in there and answer the question, when did Amazon start and when did it first make a profit? Now, as we do this, we'll talk about how this works in modern terms. All right, this initial investment, that comes from investors. This is why you have angel investors, venture capitalists. This is why you have asset management companies. This is why a company can go public. This is all investors. So Tyler tells us that when it comes to Amazon, they first went into business in 1994, and then they made their first profit in 2001, which means, according to what Eliza has here, which means the company was burning cash for 6 years. Just burning cash. First full year of profit was 2003. I actually thought it was later than 2001, so I'm glad you followed up with that. They were just burning, and when I say burning cash, this happens all the time. Somebody else Google, how much has Meta spent on trying to create the metaverse? Meta being Facebook. Facebook committed so fully and totally to the metaverse that they even changed the name of the company. They're no longer Facebook, they're Meta. How much has Meta spent on the metaverse so far? It's going to make your eyes water. So you get your initial investment. Well, if the company, if it doesn't succeed, well, even if it succeeds, there are some things you're just not getting back. there's sunk costs. And so when you're going to look at how much Facebook has spent on the metaverse, it's billions upon billions of dollars. They might make it back. They might not. There's plenty of companies that take years and years and years for something to really take hold. And then our period of production, how long does it take to make your product? How long does it take to get it to market? So, for example, my product, guys, my product as a professor, my product is you. You're not the customer. The customer is the state of Utah, and the state of Utah cares about the economy of Utah and the employers. My customer is the state of Utah and the employers that make up our economic health. You are the product. I am trying to make something that is really valuable, something that people, employers, are willing to pay a lot of money for. Well, what's my period of production? Well, hell, I only get you for 4 months, but it takes years and years and years to get you up to your peak earning. And so imagine, this is why, school and kindergarten and first grade, second grade, they're underrated. Because on one hand, they're producing the future of the country. On the other hand, they won't know if they were really successful for 23 years. Anyways, there's a little rant. Okay, so Meta, $46 billion, people. Oh my gosh. And Eliza confirms that. $46 billion. A lot of that sunk cost because they're still not producing. They still don't have a profitable product. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, this is what we want. So check this out. Once again, we've got a description here that is all about the Vikings, but 100% can be aligned to Amazon. So I'm going to read this, but then you'll notice right over here. Here, let's make this smaller. Make it bigger, make me smaller. I have it listed right over here, all these facets here, but I'll read through it. For the business venture to be successful, certain technological prerequisites must be met in the way particularly of shipbuilding, navigation, manufacture of weapons, an adequate accumulation of capital goods, the stuff you're going to sell, coupled with a sagacious spirit of adventure. That's what SSAO is. Sagacious spirit of adventure. There also must be available supply of labor. Okay, this was all Vikings, but they all apply over to Amazon. So what we're going to do for our next 10 minutes is we are going to say, okay, what does Amazon use for each one of these? I'll go ahead and just say that labor is labor. A supply of labor is a supply of labor. So we don't have to do that one. All right? But what are these to Amazon? Okay? So pick as many as you like. Write them down real quick. So right now, take a moment. Ships, navigation, weapons, capital goods. How are they going to get the stuff they're going to sell? And what in the holy hell does a sagacious spirit of adventure, what does that mean? Yes, there's an answer. There's a modern day word, one modern day word that we absolutely love that means a sagacious spirit of adventure when it comes to business. So 2 minutes. Let's see how many of these we can get. Here we go. Okay, let's come on over and take a look at some of these. So, and I'm going to give basically a light bulb for everyone that comes up. So, Eliza says ships, Amazon's trucks and vans. So that's a light bulb. Yes, trucks and vans, ships. There's more, but yes. Navigation, many selling markets. Okay, selling markets, weapons, advertising, very nice. Capital goods, almost anything you can think of buying. Sagacious spirit of adventure, adaptability to change. Oh, we don't want that one. I want to come back over here. I like it. We're just, oh, and you're not seeing light bulbs. Why aren't you seeing the light bulbs? There, now we're seeing the light bulbs. Let's see. Tyler says, would weapons be Amazon cloud computing? It certainly could be. That's a light bulb. I'll take that. Okay, here are my thoughts. Okay, and I want to be clear. These are my thoughts. All of these are great answers. Here are some more great answers. When I look at ships, okay, we got the trucks and vans and so forth. I would also say, planes. Now, think about, and oh, hell, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. Okay, Eliza, I'm going to give you this right now, but then we'll come back to it, Eliza. So, ships. We've got planes, and we've got trucks, and we've got vans, and so forth. I want you to embrace this for a moment. Let's first go back in our Wayback Machine. We are now in Viking world. They are traversing oceans through great big ships. They are then distributing their goods through the rivers. They take the rivers to distribute their goods. And they have ports, seaports all along the way where they keep their goods. So they are going across the ocean in big ships, taking little rivers, dropping off and picking up goods in these seaports. Okay, so what? My friends, Amazon is traversing great big parts of the planet through airplanes. They then land at airports. Next to these airports are what are called inland ports. Go ahead and Google Salt Lake City Inland Port. Right next to the international airport is a great big, huge inland port. These things are all over the world. Amazon then drives through the freeways, not the rivers, the freeways, and drops off and picks up goods at fulfillment centers. It's the same damn thing. There's no difference. Except instead of ships, it's planes and trucks, and instead of the ocean and rivers, it's the air and highways. But it's the same damn thing. When it comes to navigation, Eliza pointed out what is essentially GPS. So think about this. The Vikings are navigating by looking at the stars. We are navigating by looking at the data that comes through man-made stars called satellites. We make our own stars, put them in the sky, and we get data from those stars. It's the same thing. Okay? Oh yeah, drones. I love it. Right? Yeah, they're gonna be real one day. Okay? So that's Eliza when he said like Google or Apple Maps, GPS. Weapons. Okay, I liked the way you guys thought about weapons in terms of promoting business. Okay? My mind originally went back to, and I want to be clear, this is just a different data point. I like where your mind went. Let me tell you where my mind went. Vikings were creating weapons to protect their goods, protect their ships, protect their people, protect their products, protect their trade routes. So Vikings were creating weapons to do all these things. We still do this, except now we do it through lawyers because we have governments and laws and military services that make the seas and make the highways and make all this trade safer because we've replaced independent hired military with lawyers and police and governmental services. Now, in some countries, you still need to hire independent military contractors, Blackwater and all that sort of stuff. But here in the U.S., for the most part, we have outsourced the need to make weapons to the government, who then take care of security. That's where my mind went. Capital goods, hey, Amazon doesn't buy a lot of their stuff. Other people provide it and sell it through them. So they're a platform. Here's the one, a sagacious spirit of adventure. We could also talk about cybersecurity for weapons. Yes, that makes good sense. Yes, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And give another one. We're going to get, we're going to get more and more here. There we go. I think it's a sagacious spirit of adventure is entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is somebody who sees an opportunity and is willing to take risks and go after something. So that's what I read a sagacious spirit of adventure as. Okay. All right. We are going to leave behind the Vikings at this point and shift over. Yeah, we're going to leave behind the Vikings. And we're now going to make a shift. Let's make a shift. We're going to get up to 15 today, guys. And there's only 3 of you. That's great. You're doing great. Religion's response to the growing influence of business. Okay, here's the deal, guys. By the way, Tyler says, my mind for weapons in business went to GE, an appliance company that made the Avenger and the A4, the GAU-8 Avenger, the A10 gun, big, huge, massive Gatling gun that goes in the A10 Warthog. It's an amazing. That's the famous plane that is basically a plane built around a gun. Okay, anyway. So the Vikings are getting rich and powerful because commerce, people, that's how you get rich and powerful. Commerce. Well, religion was having a tough time with this because up until now, religion was the dominant power structure, the seat of power for the world. And it doesn't matter the religion, whether we're talking about, Islam or Christianity or Judaism or any other. Religion was the seat of power for the world. And so now commerce is coming along and just people are getting rich. And those who make people rich get powerful. Kind of makes you think of what's going on today. The rich have power. So, this was making religion nervous. Now, by the way, spoilers. Next week, we're going to talk about how religion decided this is wonderful. Religion at some point said, we love that the rich and powerful have power. All right? But right now they're nervous. And so they really kind of have 4 responses, according to this reading, to dealing with this. All right? Now, quick reminder, it's not a history class. All right? All the responses that we're going to see right now, we still do. All right? Not grounded in religion, perhaps, but grounded in similar values. So when we go through all these examples, we're not pointing at the simple little people of the past and going, oh, what a funny idea. Oh, we do this today. I do it. You do it. We'll show examples. Okay? So the first one, the first response is called the ascetic approach. The ascetic reproach says, would they view business and the riches that comes with business as something that must be overcome, an unrighteous thing to be eschewed or to be avoided, pushed away. Now, I have here a picture of the Amish. They don't feel this way toward business. They are not following the ascetic approach to business. The Amish know business. They follow an ascetic approach to technology, specifically technology that replaces human labor. Okay? They believe that labor is how you show your devotion to God, and this is, work is a gift given by God, and so this is part of their worship. And so why would I automate something that should be the way that I worship? All right? But let me give you some modern examples of ascetic when it comes to business. Do you refuse to shop somewhere because of their business practices? That's an ascetic approach. Or do you refuse to use products that use animal testing? That's an ascetic approach. By the way, in all of these, I'm not going to do the 2-minute timer. You are welcome to, at any point, type in your thoughts on how you practice these or don't, right? But these are examples of ways in which we still today say, I don't have anything to do with that. So, for example, I have an ascetic approach to Twitter, X. Generally, I avoid social media, but X specifically, because when Elon Musk took over Twitter, I could not abide the way that he ran the company and treated his employees. And there was no way I was going to participate in a company that treated employees the way it did. So I got off Twitter, haven't been back. So that is an ascetic approach to companies that don't treat their employees well. All right? So that's the first one. Another approach can be the indifferent approach. The indifferent approach says that, you know what? Religion and business, those are 2 different things. I can be a totally amazing business person, and I can be a totally righteous follower of my religion. Those are 2 different things, okay? So, for example, this picture here, this is Marriott. I forget his first name. Marriott, the guy who founded Marriott Resorts and Hotels. Very, very famous. You know Marriott Resorts and Hotels. What do I mean? Very famous. He was a member of the LDS Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. He actually came up with the idea of starting the hotels when serving a mission in Washington, D.C. Really successful business person. By the way, he sold coffee and alcohol at his hotels. Well, don't Mormons, LDS, don't they have nothing to do with coffee and alcohol? Yeah, he didn't drink coffee and alcohol, but his customers wanted coffee and alcohol. And so he'd sell it. All right. Thank you, Tyler. John Willard Marriott. And I actually looked this one up. I think it was in 2011 that the company says, yeah, we don't sell porn on our TVs. I think that was the case. Don't cite me. But I think in 2011, up until then, you could order a porno in a hotel, in a Marriott hotel. They've since done away with that. The point is, those are two different things. Running a successful hotel, being a good Christian, two separate things. Let me show you examples of how we do this. Do you think violence is wrong, but you still play violent video games? Okay, by the way, Eliza says, I'm not trying to be inappropriate, but I have seen a lot of people with OnlyFans who are still religious and believe it's different. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, big points for you guys on this, okay? I want to be clear here. Just because somebody else says these are two different things, it doesn't matter, doesn't mean you need to agree. You don't need to agree with any of these. And so, Eliza, I kind of get you. I am insinuating, I am telegraphing that I sort of agree with you, right? Point is, this is up to us as individuals. So in the case, some of us, I haven't in a long time, but I really want to pick back up. Oh, what is it? Fallout. I think I want to try Fallout again. Anyway, do you play violent video games, but you yourself are not violent? Of course. Or, yeah, sure. Well, now there's a lot of people out there, folks, who say that violent video games create violent people, or only violent people play violent video games. And it's like, no. These are two separate things, right? Do you espouse environmental issues but still drive, eat meat, and so forth? Meat is actually really detrimental to our environment. I'm not going to go into all the details, but the meat industry is a meat is a very inefficient use of resources to get calories. I won't go into I eat meat. I also believe in protecting the environment. Well, now, how can you reconcile these things? Listen, my diet and how I support the environment, two different things. Somebody else are like, no, but meat is really good. All right? It is really good. I have a hard time giving up meat. Okay. Renunciation. Renunciation says, listen. We know that we need it, but we don't like the way you're doing it. We're going to do it differently. We are going to reform it for a higher purpose. So, for example, this is the United Order. Once again, we're doing Mormon history today, I guess. United Order was an economic system set up by Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and practiced in Salt Lake and so forth. It was a failed economic system, but the idea behind the United Order was, listen, we know we need an economy. We know we need business. But the way you run business is not the way that's going to bring about the kingdom of God on earth, kingdom of heaven on earth. So we're going to set up our own way of doing business for our own purpose. Okay? Well, we do this. Were any of you homeschooled? I have nieces and nephews who were homeschooled. Homeschooling is a form of renunciation. It's saying, listen, I know my kids need an education. I totally agree they need an education, but not the way you are delivering the education. We are going to deliver our own education for our own purposes, for our own values. Do you invest in crypto? Crypto is renunciation. Yeah, I know we need a financial system, but your financial system is corrupt or whatever, right? Whereas crypto, that's our own financial system that we use for our own reasons. Do you live at home with your parents rather than rent an apartment or buy a home? The society says you should go out and strike on your own and yada, yada, yada. And you're like, well, I know I need to do that, but I can probably do that more effectively if while I'm working on my education, I am living at home and that sort of thing. That's recognizing the need to strike out, and you really want to strike out, but as in strike out on your own, but you're going to do it in your own way. Let's see. Tyler says, being self-taught through all the free resources here, like on YouTube. Okay, Tyler, I love that. And by the way, check this out. 15. Tremendous, people. Yeah, it's called autodidactic. There's a new word for you, Tyler. Autodidactic means self-taught. I am very autodidactic. I really enjoy learning things on my own, so I get it. Anna says, fun fact, younger generations tend to live at home longer. Yes, exactly. That's an example of renunciation. Okay, last thing is the quiet approach. The quiet approach says, listen, we know we need it, but we're going to regulate it. We don't want it to run amok, right? It's something to be tolerated and where possible amended. It's a necessary ingredient in creating our society. Since we're talking religion, it was kingdom of God, but we can't just let it go hog wild. Now, here in the state of Utah, the state owns all the liquor stores. This is the way of the state of Utah saying, listen, we know we need booze. We get it. We need booze. But we're going to regulate this. We're going to regulate it so much, in fact, that we are going to be the one and only distributor. So you can get your booze, but we're going to keep close tabs on it. Well, where else do we do this? Does your family regulate TV, gaming, or internet time? Now, back when I was a parent and the internet was new and gaming was new and so forth, these were things we tried to regulate. We didn't do a very good job. My mother-in-law, she used to, she still does, I guess. I don't know, long story. She would allow sweets on Sunday. And so she had all these wonderful sweets and so on and so forth, and she'd pack them away during the week, but then on Sunday, bring them all out. So it's like, yeah, you need sweets, but I don't want you munching on them 24/7. Okay? So, folks, that is it. I know it was a long one, and you had to listen to this really nasally, cold-infused voice. I apologize for that, but you did absolutely tremendous. So thank you very much. As usual, I am going to stick around and answer any questions you might have, or if you have any comments, fantastic. If you want to meet, but you'd rather meet over Zoom, let me know and I'll set up a link for us. Otherwise, you did tremendous today. Oh my gosh, you were on fire. And considering I'm feeling like crap, I really appreciate that. It helped me get through. All right. So there you go. Folks, have a great week and go off and make some trouble, and we'll talk again soon. We'll see you later. Let's see. Oh, Tyler, was that one of my videos? I believe that. I believe that. I believe that everybody is self-taught, even if you go to school. So embrace it. It's a superpower. Knowing how to learn and learning things that jazz you up, totally a superpower. Oh, it wasn't. It was somebody else. Well, that person knows what they're talking about because I believe it. I believe it. We'll see you tonight, Taylor. Have a good one. All right. Well, looks like folks are dropping off, so I'm going to do the same. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you again soon.